Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options all within my budget.
That's cool that financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
Welcome to Podcast Season 8, Episode 9. My name is Tim Mitchell. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Jonathan Kuline in Lawrenceville, Bristol, New Brunswick, Canada.
Earth. Hello there, kids.
Yes. So as I was saying before I was interrupted, but I don't know if you saw, but this is obviously the first thing that Jimmy Kimmel said when he came back on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently Jack Parr was once censored.
Yep. Once taken off the air. Yep.
And he said exactly the same thing. Yep. So as I was saying before I was interrupted.
Yep.
So that's a shout out to Jimmy and to Jack Parr.
There you go.
Cool. All right. So we do have some fact check for this week. Scout, not Spike, is the name of the main character, the narrator in To Kill a Mockingbird, or Tequila Mockingbird, as I called it in high school.
Yeah.
And 2001: A Space Odyssey came out in 1968, so I was wrong on both counts.
Two guesses, both wrong guesses.
Both wrong guesses. It was like, the number of the counting shall be 5. 3, 7, 3, 5.
5.
Yeah. 1, 2, 5. So we'll dive into the headlines with Jonathan going first.
Yeah, I thought I'd kick us off with some Star Trek news, what with us being a Star Trek podcast and everything. And I saw this great story this week about another one of these great classic memorabilia of Hollywood auctions. So this thing is coming up on October 24th. Heritage Auctions is going to have this liquidation of this personal collection. And this person had collected tons and tons and tons of stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Particularly of interest for us, they are going to be auctioning off full, complete Kirk, Spock, and Uhura uniforms from the original series. They're also going to be a whole bunch of other fun stuff in here. So just to give you a taste of what we're looking at here, Lieutenant Uhura's mini dress, game worn, $10,000 is the opening bid. They are going to be auctioning off one of Kirk's Mirror Alt Universe uniforms. $15,000 is the opening bid. But there's also beyond Star Trek. There's some amazing pieces in here. Full Adam West Batman suit, full Burt Ward Robin suit, Yvonne Craig's Batgirl suit. They got Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, complete with Lasso of Truth. Full Frank Gorshin Riddler, full Julie Newmar and Lee Merriweather Catwoman catsuits, Burgess Meredith's Penguin tuxedo, original Batarangs. It's fantastic. If you get a chance, if you're a big fan of that era of television, I highly recommend just browse through this. We'll have the link in the show notes. You can browse through the Heritage Auctions catalog, but it's amazing. There's just so many cool things in here. Gilligan's Island's Gilligan's shirt from Gilligan's Island, Fonzie's leather jacket from Happy Days. Like, this guy was way in on the collecting and has some amazing bits. He even has some stuff from the Honeymooners, which dates back, that's almost 80 years ago now. So, pretty amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So, yeah, if you're a fan of that kind of stuff, even just to see some of these costumes, like the way that they sit on a mannequin, is just really interesting to sort of have a look at some of these pieces. They're really really cool things to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shame to break up a collection like that too, though.
Yeah. So
right?
If you read the story, it sounds like the person who collected this has passed, and his son,
Dr. Stuart Berkowitz.
Dr. Stuart Berkowitz. Apparently, he started collecting this stuff years and years ago, before there was really a big market for it. And then he was one of the early adopters of eBay and started buying up stuff as soon as he found out that was a thing. And so he was able to amass this humongous collection that nowadays would cost you, 6 fortunes. But sounds like his son is sadly saying goodbye to all of this stuff because he just doesn't know what to do with it all. So yeah.
So the next story I got here is Carol was reading through something and she sort of pointed out and go, "Hey, did you know about this?" And I wasn't sure if we talked about it on the show before, but apparently Marvel Studios is moving film production from Georgia in the United States to the UK's Pinewood Studios. And I do know that they were filming the Spider-Man in Glasgow because there was a bunch of stuff showing, I guess, Tom Holland on a big rig or a stuntman on a big rig swinging around doing the spiderweb swing thing, But so I've got a couple links here to the stories. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that all yet, John.
Yeah, and I think we had talked about it beforehand. I had seen this across social media, and I think what I had seen it in the context of was this is a big blow to the film industry in Georgia, which is one of the biggest filming locations and has been for a good 10, 15 years now, has been really good and has been expanding. Marvel has shot countless movies there, over the past, 15 years or so that they've been making movies. So this is a huge story, and it's going to cost a lot of jobs and be quite a blow to Georgia and the film business down there. I wonder. It didn't really seem to say in the story anything about the politics or what the sort of reasoning was. It could be costs, it could be politics, it could be all kinds of different factors. But yeah, it's really interesting that they're making this move, and sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money to the economy down there.
Right. Well, I kind of wondered about that too, because as you know, we're Hollywood North here in Toronto, and when Trump was when 47 was talking about the tariffs on bringing on movies not made in the U.S. I mean, so it seems kind of counter to that, right?
Yeah.
If it's going to cost, mind you, I mean, it could be production, could be any number of things. I mean, maybe like you said, the politics and the tariffs or whatever are having an effect on the ability to do business in Georgia, right? So you're right. There's a whole list of movies here that were filmed in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Link.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just Marvel, but there's certainly lots of talented people who, back in the good old days would have all lived in Burbank because they were all filming movies there.
Right.
There was just a huge number of people who live and work in Georgia where they film all these different projects, and that's going to be pretty disruptive down there for sure. But yeah, I mean, okay, so this is actually a good segue into our the next headline that I had, which is so you mentioned Tom Holland was seen swinging from cables across the Glasgow skyline. Apparently, he was hurt doing one of those stunts last week, and he banged his head, and they had to take him to the hospital, and they had to halt production for a week to give him time to recover. There was some speculation that it could be a longer wait, that they might have to shut things down completely, but I guess they've been able to continue doing other things while he's on the mend, and happy to hear that it wasn't any more serious than it was. But it's scary when you hear about the star of the show getting smacked in the head. That's not what you want to hear. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, we got a trailer this week, and it's something we'd seen before, but not really. So the Mandalorian and Grogu, the next theatrical Star Wars movie, got a teaser trailer this week. It's not the exact same trailer that we were speculating about a few weeks back, which is the one that they showed at Star Wars Celebration Japan. This one is much shorter. It's only, I think, 80 seconds or something like that. The one that we had seen before, the quality was definitely quite poor. It was just recorded off somebody's phone in a big auditorium, but it was much longer and there was much more sort of stuff happening. This one repeats some of that material, but it's definitely a lot easier to see, which is nice. But yeah, it looks like fun. I'm told the vibe of the movie is that it is going to be just a fun adventure story. It's not going to be, as angsty as some of the other Star Wars products have been over the past number of years. No, who is your real father, or any of that kind of stuff. This is all just, these two characters who we've come to enjoy over the past few years having an adventure. So that should be fun. I was excited to see more of Zeb from Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, made his appearance. Now, we'd seen him in that Japanese trailer as well. But here, it was really exciting to see him, with his bow rifle, purple lighted bow rifle flying off the walls and stuff. I'm very excited to see more of live action Zeb. And again, it's just it's a cute, fun vibe. I mean, the Mandalorian Grogu, the whole sort of lone wolf and cub, but they both kind of take care of each other, and yeah, it's fun. Did you take anything away from this? Was this fun for you?
I did. Well, I also watched a Screen Rant breakdown of the trailer to sort of people like to take apart the different things they see and see what they. So there's a new Razor Crest, because the other one got blown up in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some sort of thing which I wasn't really aware of or whatever. But there's some rumor that they're going to form some sort of Avenger-like group of people, which could be like Sabine and the Rebel crew again, the Ghost crew back again, and with Grogu and Din Djarin, right? So who knows? But yeah, again, a lot of speculation on the different pieces you saw in the trailer, and the little guys, the little tiny Muppet or Fraggle like guys, that
the bad babies or whatever. Yeah.
So it looks like maybe
Anzelians, I think they're called.
Yeah, Din Djarin gets kidnapped or something, and then Grogu and them have to go rescue him, and
yeah.
In the tunnels, and madness ensues and things like that, right? So.
Yeah, again, it looks fun. It does. I mean, the vibe of it very much felt like the vibe of the first couple seasons of The Mandalorian, which is it's a mixed blessing. Do you want more spectacle? Now, I must admit that in the trailer, there's a great scene where you see Din and Grogu seemingly taking out an AT-AT, which looks much more cinematic than anything we've really seen in the 3 seasons of Mandalorian. Like, it seems bigger in scope.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that at the very least that's what it is a grander scale of the kind of fun adventures that we've gone on with Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't need it to be anything other than a fun adventure. I've heard those same speculations that maybe this is going to be something that indirectly ties back into the Ahsoka series that's coming back next year, that it may have more to do with the whole overlapping Thrawn series or whatever. I think the best case scenario of this is that the two of them are like, they need to make some money or something. They go on an adventure for the Rebels, and they inadvertently end up helping out, the big picture, and maybe they are coming back for that whole, Ahsoka Thrawn thing that they're going to do. But I don't need it to do that. I just want to go and have a good time. I'm so bloody happy that they're not doing another Skywalker movie right now. So yeah, I'm in. I'm hoping it'll just be a fun Star Wars time at the theater.
So do you think this is going to be like a test, the one comment I heard was that, they're hoping it's not as successful or unsuccessful as the Force Awakens series was. So I don't know, you think this could be a test for whether they're going to do movies or even TV shows going forward, right?
Yeah. I mean, they've got too much Star Wars IP and too much wrapped up in the ancillary goods like, toys and theme park rides and, everything else to not continue to monetize Star Wars. So I don't think we're at any risk of Star Wars going anywhere. But I mean, by the time this movie comes out, it'll be 7 years since the last time there was a theatrical Star Wars movie. And that was, of course, the film
which shall not be named.
Yes, the 9th of the Star Wars saga. Skywalker. Wait,
there was
saga.
A 9th one? I thought Josh said there wasn't a 9th one.
Yeah, I wish that was true, Josh. I really do. I think, taking a break and thinking hard about what you want to do next makes sense. They definitely have, created and cultivated some new characters that have become fan favorites on their Disney Plus. This is a test to see if that audience will follow them back to the movie theater after being made there, as opposed to the opposite, which is what they did with Marvel, where they were like, hey, you love the movies, come see it on TV. Here they're saying, hey, you've only seen these guys on TV. Do you want to see them on the big screen? Which is an interesting experiment, right? So we'll see.
I mean, it's kind of thing that they've done over the years, something successful on TV and then they make a movie out of it. And successful, not successful, Star Wars, Star Trek,
Yeah, so we'll see. Hey, speaking of Disney Plus, guess what they're doing, Tim?
Well, I mean, this is the irony of this was in the can even before the whole controversy with Kimmel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're raising their prices again.
Yeah, so this is an interesting timing thing. So they released this Mandalorian and Grogu trailer on Monday, while they still had not announced what the fate of Jimmy Kimmel and his show is going to be. Jimmy Kimmel's show was reinstated, and he returned on Tuesday, which was terrific. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you did too. The next day, Wednesday, they announced that they're going to jack up their rates for Disney Plus, which is basically their way of saying, hey, all those people who just quit, they're off scot-free. The rest of you are going to have to pay more now to make up for it. So,
but that was going to happen anyway. Like whether the people, because a lot of people, 4 million people or something like that, dropped their accounts, right?
Yep.
Over the Kimmel thing.
Yep. So interesting. It sounds like, so in the States, they're saying the bottom tier ad-supported Disney Plus plan is going up by $2 to $11.99 US. The ad-free premium tier is now up $3 to $18.99. Annual subscription is jumping up by $30 to $189.99 US. They have not, this is a story from the CBC, they have not confirmed that they are going to upgrade the prices in Canada, but it does seem like that is what they're going to do. So it says it's going from $119.99 to $159.99 for a year-long subscription, but it doesn't say anything more about the smaller packages and stuff like that. So any way you slice it, this is the thing that these corporations, as much as obviously it was very, very cool to see so many people take action and so many people to protest the perceived or actual impingement on U.S. free speech, they're still going to get their dollars. They're going to find a way to get their money. So if they lose millions of subscribers, they're still going to make the millions of dollars. They're just going to make it off of the people who still hold on to these things. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and just so people are aware that, the three of us did have a discussion about what do we do now if this whole if Kimmel hadn't come back, do we watch the last episode of Alien Earth, or do we boycott, or where do we stand on it, right? So
yeah, it's tricky, and obviously we want to make this a fun podcast for everybody. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy spending time together and chatting about this stuff. We're really happy that people make the time to listen to us, but we also have our morals and ethics and everything else, and we did talk about it, and we did struggle with it a little bit, and we did talk about the possibility that if they were going to continue impinging free speech, that maybe we would put a pause on talking about that stuff. Luckily, the conversation never had to go too far, because they did reinstate Jimmy's show, which is
sort of
good. Well, yeah, they did, at least in some markets. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting discussion to have, and it's worth pointing out, this is not just a Disney problem. This is an everybody problem. Like you can poke a hole in pretty much anyone's anything. Paramount, which owns Star Trek, is now owned by somebody whose politics are not aligned with my politics. Amazon,
Larry Ellison, or
and so is Amazon. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of the business practices of the head of that corporation as well. So where do you draw the line, right? If you try to separate corporate behavior from your entertainment, you're going to find yourself in a really tough spot really fast. And if you go back in history and look at anything that you've enjoyed and then start looking into the politics and or the backroom dealings and or the extremely unpleasant behavior of some of the people in charge of those places, it gets really murky really fast. So where do you draw the line is a really tough one. I think we just have to take it on a case-by-case basis. But it definitely was a quandary for us that we had to work our way through a little bit.
Yeah, I think the elevator pitch is resistance is futile, you will be assimilated.
Yeah, and what it comes back to is what we talked about last week amongst ourselves, which is, we want people to not have to think about all the heavy stuff that's going on in the world right now. Just for a little bit, they can enjoy us talking about this stuff. It's fun, it's distractionary, it's why we enjoy this stuff. And, there are a lot of smart, hardworking people who are doing great work to bring you the entertainment that you enjoy. That doesn't necessarily mean that their beliefs and the way that they're doing things are aligned with some of the larger parts of the corporations that own them. But, you have to make your own calls. And chances are, if you're listening to us, you do have a subscription to a bunch of these platforms. So you're in it with us. Let's just try and enjoy while we can and see where it goes.
Yep. All right.
Continuing down the Marvel road, there was yet another move. This is the fourth time they have moved Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the third of the Miles Morales animated trilogy. This one's a small one. The movie is moving up a week. It is now going to come out on June the 18th, 2027. For those of you who are trying to remember, wait a minute, when did I see the last two? So the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, came out in 2018.
Okay.
Across the Spider-Verse came in 2023, and here we are now looking at 2027. Now,
so does Miles Morales have a full-grown beard now, or what?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, Shamik Moore doesn't have to, put his face on screen because he's now a full-grown man. But it's a bit of a murky thing. Obviously, these movies are tremendous. They are some of the most innovative and clever animated pictures that have done. The first one won the Oscar for Outstanding Animated Film. So obviously, and they've made tons and tons of money. They've made $1 billion at the box office, more than $1 billion, the two first movies. So, hopefully they're worth waiting for. But yeah, that's super long, considering that at one point, Beyond the Spider-Verse was supposed to be out this year. So yeah, that's originally dated from March 29th, 2024, 9 months after Across the Spider-Verse came out. Now it'll be 4+ years. So it's a bit of a gap. Obviously, extenuating circumstances. There was, obviously the strikes that happened previously. There's, obviously a lot of different factors can play into this. But yeah, it's just a long break, especially considering that the second movie ends on a cliffhanger and we all kind of find ourselves going, what?
Yeah. So,
yeah. See you in 2027 if you enjoy it.
Yeah. Speaking of 27.
Yeah, this is my favorite story. So we had talked about the fact that they're going to make, after a long wait, one of my favorite movies is getting a sequel. Spaceballs is getting a sequel, and this is exciting. They're bringing back a lot of the original cast. But one of the big speculations was, what are they going to do about Dark Helmet? Because Rick Moranis had famously retired from being an actor a long time ago. The last movie that he made was back in the late 90s. He worked on one of the Disney direct to VHS movies, which was it the third Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie. And he famously retired because he wanted to raise his children, and he wanted to, step away from that. And so, over the years, there's been lots of speculation because he played so many famous roles during the 70s and 80s and into the 90s. so anytime something got rebooted, or they were like, oh, but what about Rick Moranis? Ghostbusters, famously, obviously, they've rebooted Ghostbusters and no Rick Moranis in that. So this is very exciting news that he has confirmed that he is going to be back as Dark Helmet in Spaceballs 2, which I am so excited about. Is one of my favorite satirical movies. Very funny. I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. I'm a huge Rick Moranis fan. Obviously, very beloved Canadian actor. And so this move to have him come back and to end his retirement to play this part is just the sweetest cherry on top of this gigantic sundae that is Spaceballs 2.
So there is a typo in the show notes here that Jonathan wrote. Rick Moranis ends 27-year retirement to be in Spaceballs 3.
Oh, 3.
Now, I think if they had called it Spaceball 3, that would be the ultimate, like, ha-ha, right? Like, what happened to Spaceballs 2? Because, I mean, we've lost Joan Rivers, we've lost Mog. John Candy's no longer with us, right?
Yeah,
so
Barf the Mog.
Barf the Mog, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently his son is going to play.
Is he? Okay,
yeah.
I was wondering about that.
John Candy's son is apparently going to reprise that role. And there's a few different spots like that. It sounds like there's going to be some legacy characters. I don't know if Mel's going to be in it, considering he's 99. But I mean,
he played Yogurt, right?
He played Yogurt, and he played President Scroob too, right? He was the president of the Spaceballs. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because, at the time, Star Wars had just come out a year or so before, and everybody was doing sort of a knockoff. Like even you could say that. I mean, even people at Star Trek said that the first Star Trek movie was already in the works, and it kind of sort of was. Everything kind of looked like even Aliens. The movie Alien came out after Star Wars, because they had that whole, camera controlled or computer controlled cameras zooming around the models to make them look really cool, right? Which is something they did in Star Wars. But the whole idea of Mel Brooks taking a shot at Star Wars in this sense, which is super funny, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And corny,
He apparently did ask. He apparently had spoken to Lucas about doing it and got his blessing. And same thing, talked to a few of the different people that were involved, because they didn't just satirize Star Wars. There was satire of a lot of other sci-fi in there. Obviously, Alien definitely gets a pretty good send up in there as well.
True, yeah.
But they apparently he didn't do it, cold and knock people's socks off. But fun that they're going to bring it back. And
because John Hurt's in the canteen scene, right?
He sure is. He replays the exact same spot. Oh no, not again!
And then they do the "Hello, my baby, hello, my dog."
Oh God, I love that movie so
frog
much.
From the time capsule.
Yeah, from the Warner Brothers cartoons. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Yep.
Cool.
You got one more for us?
Yeah, one more. So we're sort of we're talking about how Dusk and Foundation, broke all the toys last week in the finale. I saw an interview with him, and it's a short video here with the actor who plays King or Dusk, and we should probably know his name, but he basically said the role of Dusk this year was King Lear. Like the whole world is kind of collapsing around him, and like King Lear, he lashes out, which is what the same sort of idea. So if you're kind of wondering what the motivation behind Dusk was, is like Jonathan said last week, he has the biggest gun and he demonstrates it, right? So and destroying the whole clone, works, as you called it last week, right?
Yeah, I mean you're right. It's a really good comparison. It hadn't occurred to me, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, it was the actor who played Dusk who said he is King Lear.
Yeah. Brother Dusk, Terrence Mann is the actor's name.
Right. Good on you.
There you go.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next season when we come back.
Then it'll be Macbeth.
Yeah. And then, so we will take it to the next main part of the show where we talk about stuff, normally Star Trek related, but there ain't no Star Trek this week. We're going to talk about 3 of the shows or 4 of the shows. 3 of the shows we're going to talk about that we've been sort of wrapping up on. We've been talking about Alien Earth, which I think is a really good series, and I think you agree. And this is the season finale, season 1, episode 8, The Real Monsters. And so what's your elevator pitch? I know what mine is.
I'm so much for a soft landing.
Yeah, mine is I'm the captain now.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, okay. I've enjoyed this series. I don't always enjoy horror, but I am a fan of the Alien movies. I've seen, I could say all of them, I think. And I enjoyed a lot of this, but it was a little inconsistent and it was a little up and down. There were certainly some better episodes than others. This one I just found to be a little too on the nose for me. Like, this is exactly the kind of episode that traditionally television would do to set up a second season. Like, it really had very little sense of closure. And I found that to be a little disappointing. I would expect, are going to get a second season. They have not actually confirmed a second season is coming. But essentially, this one, it just leaves so much stuff open-ended. And it's funny because the promise of Alien or Aliens or any of the Alien films is that they are essentially slasher flicks, right? They are...
Yeah.
There's a monster, the monster's going to kill everybody, maybe one or two people make it out alive. Here, they kind of bypassed it by doing an 8-episode season where they do the flashback in episode 5 where you go back and they show you how the alien kills pretty much everybody on the ship that they were on. And the alien, when it lands on Earth, it kills some of the people that come to the ship, and it kills some of the people once it gets loose on the Neverland Island, but it never kills anyone of consequence.
Right.
So it kind of felt like the pervasive stakes of an Alien movie are kind of off the table. Like, the whole idea is that the alien just kills. It's just this indiscriminate killer. And the number of times over the course of 8 episodes that we saw this thing, like, was about to kill somebody and changed its mind or paused or did something else. And it was just like, it just felt a little too TV, which is a weird thing. Because again, I did overall enjoy these 8 episodes. I think they did a great job. I thought, the first 2 episodes were really strong. I thought that 5th episode where Noah Hawley directed it and they did the whole what it was like on the ship before the ship crashed and everything, I thought that was amazing. That was probably the best episode of the season. And then the last episode 7, they really kind of did a whole lot of stage setting. And then the payoff was simply that the hybrids kind of take control over the course of this episode, which was satisfying because they have been manipulated by everybody through this whole thing. But then there's no closure to it. There's no consequence. Like, so what? They throw everybody in jail and the aliens hiss at them. Like, I don't know, it just didn't feel as strong an ending as I think I would have preferred. That being said, as a whole, I enjoyed a lot of the season. I suspect that it's going to need at least one more, if not several more seasons before it really feels like it's landed the plane.
Yeah, it's interesting because it ends like Discovery season 1, where all the ships are heading toward, like, the I forgot the name of the other organization, Katani or something like that, or
Yutani.
They're attacking the island, and as Wendy and the Lost Boys decide that they're in charge now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm the captain now comes in. But the thing, let's go back to Alien, because Alien and Aliens, the way the xenomorph works is it has these eggs, which are like that's the genetic material, and it produces this little like snake-like lizard thing that gets inside of somebody with the face hugger, right?
Yep.
But the purpose of the alien and what the alien's doing is not killing people. Like, here, it's just slaughtering, like chopping people up and like just thrashing them, right? In this show,
but only if they're unknown guards, basically.
No, but yeah, like red shirts or whatever, right? But the in the Nostromo and in Alien 2, what the alien is doing is it's killing the people, or it's not killing the people, it's wounding them enough and then putting them in a nest and attaching them to the wall with Spider-Man spiderwebs kind of thing, right? And then they're meant to be hosts for the next series of eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole, like you said, that whole thing is gone in this particular thing because they've got a couple of xenomorphs here, right? A baby one and an adult one, or sort of, because the thing about it is the alien takes on the physical manifestations of the creature that it infests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in when they discover the first eggs in the first Alien movie, it's those, what do you call those? I forget the name of those big giant guys from Prometheus. They had a name, but like it's one of them, one of them bursts out of the chest of the astronaut. He's one of those, people from the pre-human or the ones who were supposedly have, become humans or made us or whatever, populated the planets, right? But if they have a name, I can't remember what it is right now. But that was sort of the first manifestation, and then of course, it jumps onto John Holt's face and takes on human form, right? Which kind of explains too, and it's kind of an interesting thing, but because in retrospect, in the first version of the movie, you never saw the actual alien completely. It was like Jaws. You only saw part of it, right? And you sort of had to your imagination filled in the blanks, right? And it wasn't until they did a director's cut or whatever that you actually got to see the man in the suit, and you could see that he had 2 arms, 2 legs, a backbone, and this fancy helmet on, right? Because initially you never saw. I mean, that was the cool thing about the movie it as a slasher film goes, you never really got to see the Michael Myers. You know what I mean? Like you just sort of got this. You heard the sounds, you saw flashes and stuff like that, and that was scarier than showing it, right? Yeah. So, and the reason why, like, and just going back to the Jaws comment I just made about the Jaws, is the reason you didn't see the shark is because the robotic shark they made broke on the first couple of days of shooting.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that makes things better, right?
Well, and that's the thing. The whole thing about Jaws as a movie was it became suspenseful when you didn't, because it was the mythos of the shark, not the actual physical looking at the shark thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
and you're right. I think that's one of the things about this season that I also found a little bit didn't land for me was every time they showed the xenomorph, it looked like a dude in a xenomorph suit.
And
sure.
Or a dog or whatever. But the little eyeball guy was probably the most impactful.
For sure.
Creature, right?
For sure, the creepiest and for sure the most interesting. Villain. I don't know what you want to call it.
He took place of the xenomorph in terms of thrill factor and pew-pews and whatever, right?
Yeah, even in the final episode, which did have lots of stuff happening in it, the scene where the eyeball, the weird creepy eyeball octopus tries to attack Joe, right? That was like probably the most intense scene in the whole thing, right? Where he's trying desperately to get this because they kind of set him up, right? They set him up to be the
they were setting him to be the
eyeball
dinner
host. Yeah,
dinner is being served in the room, in the galley room. Head over there. And didn't realize he was dinner.
I, for one, will miss the creepy staring sheep myself. Like 3 episodes of this.
Or
really
the cat.
Creepy sheep.
The cat was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
right?
that was pretty unsettling.
And at one point, it tries to when they first discovered it, the red-headed hybrid. I've forgotten her name, but it tries to attack her and realizes that it can't, right? Because
that's not a thing. That's not a thing, right? Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this was an enjoyable experiment. It was definitely interesting to, this is the first time we've seen a long form Aliens project, right? We've only ever seen 2-hour movies before. It was interesting to see how they could stretch this over the course of, for the sake of argument, 8 hours. And I think there was lots of positives to take away from it. I think Noah Hawley and the people that he's working with are really talented. I think that they got together a really interesting cast. I think that the whole kids inside the hybrid bodies thing wore thin at times. It was interesting at times, but it also just it kind of didn't land all the ways I think they wanted it to. Especially because, there's this sort of weird, like, petulant kind of, childish behavior and stuff that comes with it. And good on the actors. They did a good job of sort of portraying that, I think, for the most part. But, I think that if this was sort of a proof of concept, we've done 8 episodes, will this work? I think the answer is yes. Can they improve it for season 2? For sure. I think there's certainly some lessons to be learned from all this, but I'm hoping that, the stakes get a little higher as it goes, because right now it's like, it's great that you introduced all these characters, but I refuse to believe that the xenomorph is going to be like, you but not you, and you but not you, and, it didn't land for me.
Yeah. I mean, I did enjoy the Alien Romulus movie. I liked the plot, or it was an interesting movie. I did enjoy that, and this was, I mean, it was enjoyable in the same, because this kind of borrowed from that in terms of some of the things that they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and look and feel and things like that. But yeah, and you know, I was thinking about this is weird. What was weird about it is like my big question about this show is, okay, so you have the ability to make hybrid robots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is one of them heavy set?
Yeah.
Why is one of them, you know, South Asian, right? You know, like if you're making the robot, like if you're making the people.
Well, in fairness, the South Asian one was a South Asian child who became a South Asian. Yeah, it was, because they show his mom at one point, right? And his mom is clearly Indian. So yeah, I think that was kind of the point of that. Was at least they were like, hey, you know, this is a thing.
I'm thinking, like, why weren't they just the same actor or actress like 5 times, like they did with was that Black? Oh,
yeah.
Black Orphan, Black, you know.
Yeah, Orphan Black. Yeah.
Orphan Black, yeah, with Tatiana Maslany, right?
Yep.
Like again, like if you're you know, like you're making a prototype, why would you be so different in terms of? I mean, it just made no sense to me when I thought about it in retrospect. I
mean, I guess the idea is that they were essentially stealing these children from their parents. The idea is probably like something like twisted inside the head of Boy Cavalier, who was like, I'm going to make them look like something I want them to look like. But, you know, they don't really get too far into the weeds and that stuff either. I mean, hopefully we start to see those characters evolve. I mean, obviously we saw some of them evolve more than others this season. And I think there's a lot of potential for you know, playing with the idea of these children who are, you know, super powered and everything like that. Although it's funny because when the season first started, it felt like they were kind of portraying them as these like super powerful beings. And then they kill the one, and now they're all like kind of afraid that they're going to get hurt. And so, yeah, it's mixed messages on that front too. I'm still not clear. Are these supposed to be like godlike creatures? Or are they supposed to be like tough robots, better than a synth, less impactful than a synth? I don't know. I mean, we saw what happened when a synth and a what did they call Babu Cisse's character, Cyborg? So he has the big knockdown fight with Kirsch.
The elephant.
Yeah.
Hirsch, yeah.
In this episode where they kind of go at it. And that scene where he like flips him over and breaks his back on the table was pretty intense.
Yeah.
But again, overall good. I will definitely watch a season 2 if they bring it out. But it wasn't quite perfect, I would say.
Yeah.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
You're my 2 a.m. wild child, shred the couch on a whim. My little fluffy crazy cat who don't play nice with the kids. You're a danger floof. But I'll keep it safe where you poop. You're an unnatural beast with natural litter under your feet, yeah. At least in your box it's safe. No more dust all over the place. Everybody without clay, say meow. World's best cat litter for the world's best cat.
Now, back to the show.
Some Peacemaker?
Peacemaker. Yeah, so Peacemaker, it's all a blur to me because I can't remember when I watched the Suture episode, Back to the Suture, 5th episode. So this is the one where, let me think here.
This is the one that starts with the ambush where they come for Chris at the park and he ends up basically getting taken out by Harcourt, and he ends up getting taken back to Argus, where Rick Flag Sr. beats the snot out of him. And then he ends up getting out and says to heck with this, and decides he's going to go to the alternate universe because he doesn't think that Harcourt loves him or cares about him here, and he decides that that's it. So yeah, really this whole episode was that sort of action set piece at the beginning, and then he gets out, and then there's the whole subplot with Eagly versus what was his name? Saint Wild, that weird eagle hunter versus the prime eagle storyline, which is one of the most completely extraneous and yet extremely enjoyable storylines I think I've seen in one of these shows. Yeah. Anyway,
he didn't kill Eagly? He killed some other eagle?
Yeah. So at the one shot, he shoots the one eagle, and he's like, "I got him," and then he goes over to look at the body, and then all the eagles show up, including Eagly, and they basically rip him to death. They maul him to death. So, and then basically the episode ends with Chris, the Peacemaker, and Eagly going through the portal to the dimension that he's fallen in love with, along with Judo Master, the little we'll say bad guy, who sneaks in after him, and then the whole gang of the 11th Street kids decide to go after him. Right, that's how we sort of landed. So we're set up for 3 final episodes where hopefully they're going to figure out how to get there and how to get Chris back. But I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop on what's really going on in the other universe, and obviously the next episode we'll sort of see where it goes, but it feels like it's one of those too good to be true kind of situations. Like, Chris has only seen parts of it, but it can't be quite that good, right?
Yeah, he's definitely looking with rose-colored glasses. Well, I got the impression, though, when he foils the bank robbers, I don't know if it was this episode or the one previous.
It was the one before, yeah.
Yeah, and he's with Harcourt on the good Harcourt, the one that
was it. No, it was episode 3. Episode 3 is the one where he goes inside the building. It's the Sons of Liberty, and he takes them out. I felt like that Sons of Liberty group.
Everybody's surprised at how well he did that, right? Because I have a feeling that the Chris on this universe is not that well put together, right?
Yeah, my impression was that
he's second fiddle to his brother, right?
Yeah, for sure, and his dad. But the impression that I got from that episode was that the people that he was fighting against did not seem like super well trained. They seemed like more like guerrilla fighters. Like, they seemed like they were fighting back against government oppression or something. Like, the vibe they had felt very like, we barely know what we're doing here. Not like we're professional terrorists or assassins or whatever, right? So, like I say, I keep waiting for
Harcourt's reaction to him going in without his uniform on or whatever, and being that, effective.
Yeah.
I think that surprised her, right?
Yeah. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like there's something going to happen in that alternate universe that he's going to be like, oh, wait, I made a bad decision. This is actually a bad place.
Oh, yeah? Hmm.
But we'll see.
They eat babies or something like that. Yeah.
Like, it feels like if everything is different and his father and brother are good guys, then like, what is like the United Nations? What is what's the U.S. government? What's Argus? What, like, something else has got to be off, right? Because otherwise he'll stay, and there's no fun in that. He's got to get back to his friends.
Maybe there's no eagles. Maybe that's the thing.
Oh, there you go. Maybe they need it. Maybe they need the prime eagle.
Yeah, he comes over and they're like, "What is this bird thing you brought with you? What is this creature?"
Yeah, but no, it's the show continues to be both, full of fun, action, vulgar, awful, but really, really fun and enjoyable. Didn't really so much enjoy watching Rick Flag Sr., beat the tar out of Chris, but it's interesting to watch. I mean, again, I think we talked about this previously, maybe while you were away, but I'm genuinely impressed with John Cena. I said I had not watched him as a wrestler. I was aware of him, but I had stopped watching wrestling years and years and years ago, 20 years ago. And he's actually doing a really interesting job of bringing this character's, emotional core forward and really like changing from who he was in the Suicide Squad to who he was in season 1 to who he is now. And as he continues to evolve, like there's some interesting character arcs, and he's actually doing a pretty good job of conveying that as an actor. I'm impressed. I mean, I'm actually really impressed. I mean, I knew that he was going to be great as like, a physical actor. He's a humongous human being and clearly quite gifted that way. So I'm not surprised that when they do the action scenes and stuff that he's terrific. But the acting parts, the parts where he has to be, emotional and vulnerable and conflicted, and I'm actually pretty impressed. But and some of the other people on there, I mean, I knew what we were going to get in some of these other actors and characters. Danielle Brooks, I knew from Orange is the New Black, and she was terrific in that, and she continues to be terrific. And Steve Agee, I had known from like the Sarah Silverman Show and some other comedy things over the years, so I knew he was going to be great. The other one that I cannot get enough of is Freddie Strome. Freddie Stromer, that is, who is the guy who plays Vigilante, who is just playing a psychopath so perfectly. He's so perfect. The fact that he's so on some things and so clueless about other things it's just bang on. It's exactly what I imagine from a complete, absolute psycho.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Gen V.
Moving on to Gen V bags. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what the hell the name of this episode was about, but since I'm just a bag of blood.
Yeah, what do you know? You're just a bag of blood.
I'm just a bag of blood. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it's the dynamic of them being in school and up and down, and the Cypher character, and and how the kids are all trying to sort of things out, and I love the part where he kind of goes. What's the name of the girl? The blonde girl that tries to manipulate him.
Oh, Kate. Yeah.
Kate, and he just kind of goes, "That's cute, but watch this."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one because like obviously the third episode, which is they dropped the first 3 episodes at once. The third episode culminates with Jordan confessing that they're the one that injured Kate, and yet as soon as we start this episode, it's basically the spin has started, right? The spin is, oh yeah, well Jordan said that, but they didn't actually do it. Yeah. The Starlighters really did it, and again we talk about how prescient this show is and how sort of connected both the boys and Gen V are to sort of the zeitgeist of global politics right now, and particularly in some countries. And yeah, it was really kind of eerie to see how quickly they try and spin these things into the way that they want the story to go, and go from there. And yeah, this one was, again, it's kind of what you expect from a mid-season episode. You've got the Jordan versus Marie fight. They decide that's how they're going to settle things, is have this like MMA style fight between these two, and they agree that they aren't going to do anything. But you're right. And then Cypher obviously jumps in and starts controlling Jordan and beating the tar out of Marie, and it starts to get really scary. But yeah, it was. Wasn't a killer episode, but it definitely had some pew pews, and it definitely had some more tied into the overarching mystery. So I want to ask you. So in this episode, Marie figures out by her lessons in understanding blood that Cypher doesn't have any V in his system and therefore shouldn't have any powers. But at the end of the episode, we find out that he's now controlling Jordan, and therefore he must have some powers. Do you think the powers are connected to his father in the hyperbaric chamber?
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah. And that's why he's keeping him around, right? But
yeah, like, is it possible that maybe his dad is the one with powers and he taps into it somehow or something? Because I'm like thinking, like, why does he have this like horribly burned or scarred person in a hyperbaric chamber? And that's the only thing I could think is, well, maybe maybe Cypher doesn't really have any powers, but his dad does, and he's able to tap into them.
Because there's a scene where she's learning to manipulate the blood by not raising her hand, right? Mm-hmm, which was the way that she recognizes that Jordan is not in control of themselves, because Cypher, that's a line that Cypher said to her.
Yeah,
don't raise your arm. But I mean, she looks at him and she's able to make his neck blood kind of like
rise
start
to the
boiling a bit.
surface. Yeah.
And so is it that she can manipulate people who aren't V, don't have V in their system?
My impression was that she can manipulate all blood, but what she can now do, thanks to some of this coaching,
sense the
is
Vs,
she can
right?
sense whether or not somebody's got something else in their blood other than blood.
Oh, I see. Right. That could come in handy.
Well, I mean, it could, yeah, but yeah, it's really interesting to sort of see how this is coming together, and it's funny because this is obviously it's a spin-off of The Boys. The Boys is sort of the prime show of this, but they really are kind of carving out their own little niche of this universe in a pretty satisfying way. It's an absolute tragedy that we lost Chase Perdomo. Andre is a great character in the first season, and it would have been fun to see how they had intended for all this to come together. But I would say, I was actually just talking with one of my best friends today, and we were talking about Gen V and the fact that he sort of said how do they deal with that, and I said actually they dealt with it pretty well. Like, they didn't hide from it, they didn't recast it, they didn't shy away from it, they addressed it, they had his picture on there, they talked about him, everybody, like his dad had to process it, his friends had to process it, so they kind of brought some closure and some catharsis to the audience too. Like, I don't, obviously, again, huge tragedy to lose Chase, but like, I feel like they gave Andre some satisfactory closure from this too. It'll be more satisfactory if his dad ends up destroying Godolkin because of all this, but yeah, I think all things being equal, they handled that really, really well.
Yeah. It seems to be more focused on Dr. Godolkin too, right? So that might come back.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a whole thing. I mean, I thought it was really interesting when Marie was taking her lessons with Cypher, and she was like, "You could be the most powerful superhero around." And she's like, "More powerful than Homelander? There's no way." And he's like, "You can manipulate blood, and why would you want me to be more? Why would you guys want me to be more powerful than Homelander?" And then he kind of looks at her, and you're like, "Oh, that's right. Everybody's trying to figure out a way to potentially take out Homelander, because Homelander is the most powerful being on the world, as well as a complete and total psycho." So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm really curious. The more I watch this, the more I'm curious to see where this season ends and how it contributes to the final season of The Boys, which we know is coming.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
because they feel interconnected in a way that I wasn't kind of I kind of thought it would be just like really removed. Like, oh, it's the same universe. But this is a universe. But no, it's all really quite interconnected.
Well, even the way that who's the fish guy?
The Deep. Yeah,
the Deep, and like how a lot of students have been involved with the Deep, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they've gone in deep. Yeah.
The hazing rituals at Godolkin.
Yeah, because there's this sort of side comments every now and then. There's like, he seems to have a relationship with a lot of people, but maybe he's like the Epstein character in this show, right?
Yeah,
but yeah. So do we know who Cypher's dad is? Because they did talk. They have talked about who Cypher is a few times, right? Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't remember hearing that part. So maybe that's the backstory that we'll get as we go through this. I mean, they kind of show the fact that Cypher himself has been around for a long time, because he was apparently there when Marie was born, right? Which was a weird twist. That was, you didn't necessarily see that coming, right? So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, this is called Bags. I'm just looking to see if there's a note in the trivia.
Yeah, no, it's again lots of stuff coming around on this, like, lots of interesting threads, and again, they're not shying away from dropping little tastes of what might be coming in The Boys too, which is, I think, the most fun.
Well, yeah, I mean that's maybe Marie's going to show up, and well,
I mean, we saw Starlighter in the first or second episode, I think. Obviously there is a connection. She is part of this resistance against Vought and the all powerfuls and everything, right?
Yeah. By the way, I know you don't talk about quotes in this thing, but in episode 3, where Cypher says the rug really brings the room together, really ties the room together.
Yeah. We didn't talk about, and we probably shouldn't talk about when they go and they are looking for Emma, right? Emma is got together with the two new people, and the one has the very unusual hair manipulation powers.
Yes, yeah, the hair skill, yeah.
Which we finally get to see in this episode. It's like, okay, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Yeah, well, but it's interesting because there there's a lot of, I mean, it's definitely an R, not R-rated, but it's definitely adult rated. I mean, even when what's her name, Emma,
yeah.
Yeah, when she's coming up through the sewer system, she ends up in the toilet bowl, and then
Oh yeah, that was an angle of whoever played that part. That was an angle I didn't need personally, but yeah.
You were talking last week about full body shaping before too, right?
yeah. But,
all right.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool. Well, let's move on to our watch list then, and we'll talk about something we've both been watching or imbibing in.
Yeah, so my first thing was Marvel Zombies. So I had a chance to watch all four. I think you said you watched the first two so far. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I had seen a couple people in my social circle commenting, sort of saying, yeah, it's, good, bad, different, different comments and stuff like that. I thought, I'm going to go in with an open mind. Let's see what that's like. And it definitely, I will say, for anybody who hasn't watched it yet and intends to, it wouldn't be worse. It wouldn't be the worst thing to go back and watch the What If episode that is about the Marvel Zombies, because there definitely are some threads that continue from that back into this. And I wouldn't recommend it for anybody who hasn't been keeping up with Marvel.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters in it. I'm like, where is that woman from?
If you stopped watching Marvel earnestly after Endgame, which I know some people did, and haven't really been keeping up with the last wave of movies and TV shows, you will probably not enjoy it as much. There's room in here for, Black Panther. Black Panther gets a nice moment. Thanos gets a moment. There are Thor, there are some other characters that get moments in here, but it really focuses on the next generation. The first episode is about Ms. Marvel, the new Hawkeye, played by Haley Steinfeld, and Riri Williams is another lead character in that first one. They really kind of focus on, a lot of the stuff that has happened over the past 2 or 3 years versus all 15 years of Marvel. So yeah, if you aren't familiar with these characters,
well, even the Thunderbolts, right?
That's it. The Thunderbolts are a main part of this as well. There's definitely a lot of stuff that you will be missing out on if you don't know these characters.
But even if you have watched the stuff, because it took me a minute to remember who Riri was, right? So.
Well, it's funny, when she first popped on, I thought it was Shuri from Black Panther, and I was like, no, that can't be right. And I was like, oh no, it's Riri, not Shuri, because of course they were both in that same movie together where they were working together, and I was like, oh, okay, now it makes more sense. But I will say, to its credit, they didn't get everybody, but they got a lot of the main actors back to play their parts. Elizabeth Olsen's back as the Scarlet Witch. Haley Steinfeld, Iman Vellani. Like, they got a lot of people back, and even the ones they didn't get back, they got back the people who were some of these characters in What If too. So at least there's that continuity. So it feels familiar. The animation's fantastic. Like, it looks great. And I will say, it's funny, we were talking about Alien and just how it kind of goes against its own type by not being as slashery. This was a genuinely creepy at times show. There were some moments where I'm like, oof, that's dark. Like, this is not like, hey, let's get the family together and watch. This is an MA show. Like, I don't think I'd let anybody under the age of about 14 watch this. This is a lot.
Well, even some Avenger zombies too is kind of weird, right?
Yeah,
and who's a zombie, who's not, right?
And there's some pretty grim deaths of the zombies, and there's some pretty grim deaths of the heroes. They do exactly what we were just talking about with Alien. Like, there is a lot of moments where you're like, oh, it's fine. This person's going to be like, nope, they aren't. They're dead. So, it definitely has some stakes to it. That being said, and not to get too far in front of you, but there's definitely a door open where they could continue telling more of this story if they wanted to. So I guess they'll take a look at the ratings and decide if they want to do more, but they could if they chose to. I was surprised it was only 4 episodes.
Yeah, who's the guy that's in charge of the New Orleans City and the Sea thing or whatever?
That's Zemo. That's the the bad guy from Civil War who comes back for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's the guy who basically, he's the one who engineers the fight between Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Iron Man. He's the one who's manipulating everything in Captain America Civil War. And then, yeah, he comes back and he kind of manipulates the situation during Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. He's the sort of the bad guy there too.
If I can see a picture of this guy, because I kind of get the impression I know who it is, but he was in Winter Soldier.
No, he was in Captain America: Civil War, and he was in
Falcon and the
Winter Soldier TV show.
Oh, he was in that one. Okay.
Yeah, Bruhl, I think his name is Bruhl. I think he's German.
Yeah. This Daniel Bruhl. Yeah. Okay, that's who I thought it was. Yeah, like because his voice is very distinctive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's got a pretty.
Oh, he's in Inglourious Bastards too.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, and he plays the guy in Rush who gets burned.
Oh yeah. He's Nicky. Is it Nicky Lauda?
Nicky Lauda. Yeah, Nicky Lauda.
Yep.
Is that Rush like real drivers? Because Nicky Lauda is a real guy. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, James Hunt.
Yeah. It's the whole movie's about James Hunt and Nicky Lauda, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I've only ever seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Is that a Ron Howard movie?
I couldn't say. As I say, I've seen bits of it, but I've never seen it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway. The one was filmed in Toronto?
Really?
I think so. Parts of it. Or maybe I'm thinking the Stallone one. There's a Stallone movie with F1 cars. They drove them in downtown Toronto on King Street in Adelaide and stuff.
Cool.
Which sounds bad, right?
Yeah, I'll bet it does.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What's your next pick?
Next one is something that we talked about as coming up. This is Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. So last year we got Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which is about how these two brothers in the Star Wars universe accidentally unmake the universe and then have to basically rebuild it. And what happens is basically, down is up is down, black is white, white is black. So you end up with like a good Emperor and a good Darth Vader and an evil Jar Jar Binks and all these other characters, and it's just a fun, quirky, let's mix things up kind of adventure for Lego, and it really works with the Lego tie-in because obviously they rebuild stuff using the Force and stuff. So this was another 4-part little mini series that they did, continuing where they left off, bringing some of these different characters, new threat, and just like the first one, lots of fun, lots of creativity, super, super family friendly, really, really interesting. Just some of the ways that they mash up some of the Star Wars history over the years. Lots and lots and lots of in-jokes, lots of, it's not as good a satire of itself as Lower Decks is for Star Trek, but it certainly does have some fun. At one point, so worth mentioning, this one also has a pretty stellar cast. Again, they didn't get everybody, but they certainly got lots of people. Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, Billy D. Williams, Alan Tudyk, Ahmed Best, Kelly Marie Tran was back. D. Bradley Baker playing different parts. Ashley Eckstein came back as Ahsoka. Cameron Monaghan who's Cal Kestis from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They got a really, really good voice cast in here, and then they had some other people who had done some of the cartoon version voices and stuff like that as well. So again, familiar pieces and stuff. So it was really, really fun. But at one point, like the Mark Hamill Luke Skywalker character looks at the camera and says, we gotta break we might even do the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. And he leans over to the camera and he goes, well, I know it doesn't actually make scientific, fact, but it's fun to say. And, again, that's something that, obviously the pedants out there have been making fun of that for years. Oh, it's a measure of, time, not distance and whatever, or measure of whatever it is. And they have some fun with the Star Wars universe. They have some fun with it. They don't take it all seriously. And frankly, Star Wars needs a little bit of that. It does take itself a little too seriously sometimes, and the fans can be a little obsessive about some of this stuff. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I recommend it. Again, when Jaime talks about the Paw Patrol Sunday afternoon, something on the TV, this thing is perfect. It's just a really light, fun. You can watch scenes. You don't have to watch every single moment. It is a little, at times, it's a little bit, overwrought. The core story is about these two brothers who are different and whatever. But it's fun, and I recommend it.
All right. Well, my picks are a couple of oldies and classic ones. I'm always looking for sales that are on. I think you are too, on movies that are on the iTunes store for sale and whatever. It's funny because in light of what happened in the last couple of weeks with the Disney stuff, I was thinking, I could see why you're right about like having the discs. Because
they can't take those away from you.
A lot of people were saying like they talk to their kids about canceling the Disney account to make a point, and the kids realize, well, we can get the movies I want to watch at the library and stuff like that, right? Which is kind of an interesting thing. Like if you have the discs, like I have a lot of stuff on iTunes, and if my internet goes down, I can't watch them, right? So it's kind of interesting. Which brings me to my latest purchase, which was 12 Monkeys. I'm a huge Terry Gilliam fan. I own all of the movies on DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that, but I haven't filled out my digital collection because not every one of those movies came with, even though I paid like king's ransom for some of them, they didn't come with a digital copy. So I've got, Brazil, I've got, Time Bandits, I've got, but I've just picked up 12 Monkeys yesterday, and it's probably one of my favorite Terry Gilliam movies. So this is the one where, and it fits in with our sort of time shifty, time forward, time backward thing. There's a lot of stuff in Time Bandits you'll see borrowed in other sci-fi stuff that we talk about. It's timey-wimey and all that kind of stuff. And surprisingly, it's got a really interesting role played by Bruce Willis, right? Who, if you may or may not know, has, for personal reasons and medical reasons, has retired from acting. So what we have is what we have. But it's also got a great performance by Brad Pitt as this nut bar son of and of course, the son of Canada's own Christopher Plummer. So a lot, and Madeline Stowe's in there too, and so this hits all the points. And I hadn't owned a copy of it that I could watch, on my latest setup, and so I just picked it up. I think it was on sale for $7.99, I want to say Canadian. So check your iTunes store, fill out your Terry Gilliam collection, if you will. The other thing I talked about last week was my pick was the Apollo 13 30th anniversary playing at the IMAX. And I looked at the tickets a couple times. Sadly, not very many people went and saw it here in Toronto on one of the best IMAX screens in the city. I kept looking at it thinking, but I got to go outside and,
and it's only autumn. Come on.
And I have to go look at people. And it's only, and it's a 15-minute bike ride from my house. But then I thought, I own this movie already, right? And I have a Vision Pro. So instead of watching it on IMAX, and I have seen the IMAX cut, like that's the other thing too. Like I've seen Alien, I've seen the Alien movie in an IMAX cut. I actually saw, I found my ticket. Xavier and I went and saw Phantom Menace in 3D on IMAX at the same theater, right? So back in the day. So anyway, so I just decided, well, I already own the movie, so why don't I just throw it on the Vision Pro and just, make my own theater experience, right? So I did that a couple of nights ago and really enjoyed it. It's one of the movies most movies I rate with 4 stars, maybe 3.5 stars is sort of an average movie for me. But this for me is a 5-star movie. So is 12 Monkeys, right? So I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge space nut, as you know, and the portrayals are really good. It's based on the book by Jim Lovell, so it's it's credible in that sense. They do sort of play around with some of the events and things like that, but and I'd be honest with you, I lived through Apollo 13 as a kid. I was also disappointed that they didn't land on the moon, but and at the time, like other than me, most people weren't watching or weren't paying attention to launches after Apollo 12, right? Like they just kind of just fell off the radar for people, and this crisis put it right back on. But it's kind of like a car accident, right? You're waiting to see, you stop and you look just because you want to see, like, what you can see, right? Kind of thing. I think a lot of people joined on and rallied around the plight of these 3 people as they tried to get back to Earth, but, you could look at it a couple of different ways. Were they looking for the car accident to happen or were they just wanted to see how it played out? It's kind of like the the kids that fall down the well, or the miners that get trapped in the mines and that kind of stuff, right? You always, or even victims of earthquakes, you always want to. I think we all secretly rally around our tribal feelings and want people from our tribe to sort of have a good experience or survive or whatever, right? So yeah. So Apollo 13 is a great movie, and it's a Ron Howard movie, as I mentioned earlier. So it's one of his early ones, and I think if you look at it, like, it's on the list of top 100 movies to see before you kick off, and it's right up there with, like, the big best movies of all time, right? So
yeah, it's a especially when you look at it through the lens of when it was made and the technology they were working with, it's an incredible accomplishment to make it look so convincing.
Yeah. Well, it's the only movie that's been shot in the vomit comet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's interesting because some scenes you see, their actors are sitting on a seesaw and they're kind of just bobbing up and down, but there's scenes where they're moving from the command module to the lunar module through the tunnel, and you can see that the actors are actually doing the 0G traversing from one space to the other. So it must have been super fun to film as well, right?
Yeah, challenging, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and there was a big reveal. I don't know if you heard last week or a couple of weeks ago. There was a big reveal from Ron Howard.
I don't know. I don't think I saw that.
Not everybody can handle 0G.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right, and he had some people throw up, some people wet their pants, some people do both.
Yeah.
All three actors didn't. They didn't. Not all three actors, and some of the crew, got sick as well during the making of it, right? Because they had these 18, 20 second scenes sections where the whole, like, even the filming crew is in 0G, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Ron Howard in the early tests turned out that he was one of these people who can't do 0G, right? Even though he had to direct the thing, right? He swore Kevin Bacon to secrecy, and he released him from his bond, as he mentioned it on the show in an interview last week, right? So for this many years, Kevin Bacon has kept a secret.
Well, that's
in return for as many close-ups as he could get.
Yeah, it's a good trade. It's a good trade. It's a smart actor.
Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It's a great movie.
So. Oh, it is. It's an all-timer.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. So, hey, Jonathan, if you want to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
Oh, I check on Instagram or Blue Sky. I'm at JPK News, or you can check me out on YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
Right. And my name is Timitra, Timmitra. I'm found lurking on Blue Sky and on Mastodon. And I'm also Timitra on YouTube. And after 12 years of being on YouTube, I finally got entered into the YouTube Partner Program.
Oh, welcome aboard.
Yeah, woohoo. and which basically means that soon we'll be able to list More Than Just Code and Spotcast merch on my channel. But I have a few more, steps to go through. But yeah, a couple of videos I posted up this summer pushed me over the edge, and I got the big invite. So yeah, I think it's cool. All right, well, until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Spotcast podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spotcast website at spotcast.com. If you have feedback or questions, you can get in touch with us on the website. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/spotcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spotcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
We had heat pumps finally. Xavier will be pleased to know that we installed 2 mini split heat pumps in the house, and Carol's happy, and maybe Xavier will be happy too.
Where did you end up putting them?
So we put one above the laundry room on the second floor, And the challenge for them was because of the houses, there's not enough room to get between the two houses, according to the estimators, right? But the guy who came to install this he loves it when the houses are this close together. He just puts the ladder up vertically, and he can push his back against the other building, and he feels much safer, and he can move around and whatever, and he's got like freedom of movement, right? So he liked it. So yeah, we had a basement dryer at one point because the laundry room used to be here in the basement. We had the circuit breaker already, 30 amp circuit. So we put the actual outside unit is just outside the door on the third floor, right? We were going to put it like further down like the building, but the estimator wanted us to, or the owner of the company wanted us to move it like closer to the house because he was worried about wind or whatever.
Okay.
And our next door neighbors they have one of those false walls that goes up like 3 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's where you shoot the enemies down as they attack you on a river. But yeah, it's like I figure there's a name for it. It's a false wall, right?
Yeah,
but so we put it there and we kind of turned it like 90. It's huge. I mean, it's a big giant thing. It's got these huge feet, and Carol was questioning our choice. Of course we put it in and we sort of said, okay, put it there, and then we'll get her blessing. And no, it had to turn 90 degrees. And yeah, so we have one in the our bedroom, in the master bedroom on the wall, and then like a small one, and then we have the one in the main one in the second floor bedroom. And it's a multi-unit compressor on the outside, so it can basically send whatever to the two separate units.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Cool. I know you're all heat pumped out. It'd be interesting to see what your house is like in the wintertime, right?
I'm really curious, and we did notice it this summer with the air conditioning part of it. The parts that had those units were perfectly fine and absolutely manageable.
So the room where your comic books were, like that big giant, the music room, right?
Yeah.
Does it have anything in it?
It has a heat pump, yeah.
Oh, it has a heat pump.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the only notable spaces that don't. So Faye's room didn't have one. We did put one in there just because it seemed pretty wildly unfair that all of us had air conditioning / heating in our room and she didn't. So we put one in there.
And she never leaves her room.
And she never leaves her room. And she leaves her computer on all the time, which cooks the room. So yeah. So we put that in this summer, and she said it made an instant difference, and she loves it in there. So my office that I'm currently in right now doesn't have one, but I am thinking about moving my stuff down into that room that's in the basement at the back. So the one that had the little wood stove and everything, because that one does have not only does it have the wood stove in there, but it also has a mini split in there. So in theory, if I move my office down there, I'd be able to control the heat and the cooling a lot better when I get to wintertime, because in here in the summertime, it was getting a little hot sometimes. I put in a ceiling fan, but even that only does so much. So it was noticeable in this little gap area that there isn't any, because there's no central air, there's no ducting or anything, right? So it was just not cooling in here like it was everywhere else. But yeah, I think we're doing okay, and you're right. I'm absolutely curious, especially a huge space like the room that Sherry and I have at the end of the hall. There is quite large. I'm really concerned that it's going to be too big to warm effectively. But as I said to her, worst case scenario, if we find that it's too expensive or it's too inefficient to warm, we'll just go sleep in one of our guest rooms for a few months, and then we'll move back there when the weather turns nicer. You think because your master bedroom doesn't have one, right? It does have one, but the room is massive. So I'm just concerned because it has a high arched ceilings and stuff. I'm worried that it's just the hot air is going to rise and we're going to be on the ground level being cold. So was that the master bedroom for the people who lived there before? It was, yeah. Oh, okay. But they also have they put in 2 electric fireplaces, one in that bedroom and one in the rec room across the hall, which again is a lovely notion, but electricity is prohibitively expensive in this province. It's very expensive, so I'm not as keen on using that, because some of the bills that I was getting, and I was running I was cold all the time at Adam's place, just enough heat to basically keep my dog and I alive, and it was expensive as hell. Now that was baseboard heating. Here we've got the mini splits. Oh, you were in the wintertime. Yeah. I moved there in January, so from January until April, it was cold.
Did that place have a fireplace?
It did not have a fireplace.
Oh, okay.
So again, here we've got this is so stupid. We've got five fireplaces. We've got 2 electric, 2 propane, and 1 wood. The 1 wood is downstairs. The 2 propane are in our living room and our den, and then the 2 electric are at the other end of the house here. I am inclined over the next few years to probably remove the electric ones here and put propane into the other 2 rooms, just because it's much more efficient. But also, I kind of want to see how the mini splits do over the winter too. Like it's all a learning curve, right? New house. Until you live there for 4 full seasons, you're never really going to know what you get. So I'll be curious. It's been overall, I would say, we're definitely, I would say, a little further into fall than I would have expected for this time of year than back in Ontario. But
well, and there's parts of your house is so big you don't go into, right?
Well, I mean, right now we rarely use the basement, though that's going to change. So we finally got our plumbing done.
Oh, we did? Okay.
The plumber finished up middle of last week. He finished up the last bit, so that's been fully done now. We have to bring a contractor in to fix. He had to cut 2 holes to get the plumbing up to Xavier's apartment. But we did get all of that in and done, which means I was able to set up all my shelves downstairs in the comic book room, which means I'm now able to move all my comic books down there, which means then we'll be able to move that stuff. And we bought paint so that we can paint.
So I can start my band practice in your music room?
That's right. So we ended up moving all that stuff into the rec room, but that stuff can slowly start moving into the basement over the next little while. I've spent the last couple weeks just trying as hard as I can to get as much on the outside done before winter comes. So like I spent like 4 days doing property stuff, like every day out there with the saw, cutting down, damaged branches off trees, cleaning up, some of the sumac that was overgrown, like days and days and days of that work. And I'm just trying to get as many things done outside before, because I know in wintertime I can just work in here as much as I need to. Bit by bit.
Inch by inch.
But, yep.
Coolio. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I would call it. Let you get to bed earlier this week.
Yeah, that'll be a nice change of pace. I think last time we did, because we had so much to cover last time.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I think I don't think I ended up in bed until like 1:30 or 2 or something.
Anyway, okay.
All right.
Wrap it up.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.